What's up, everybody, and welcome to A+ Anime, and I'm here to talk about something that I think it needs to be said. We need to talk about My Hero Academia.
You are now watching A+ Anime.
Now, I know a lot of people are really liking this show, and I'm actually kind of one of them, but I recently have been really struggling with the arcs of the various villains in the current arc of the manga. So if you aren't reading the manga, sorry, there's a little bit spoilers for you. So come on back when you read the manga. It's Shonen Jump app right here. Click that button, read it. Be current, because it's gonna take a long time for it to be current for you anime watchers. I'm so hesitant to say this because everyone loves My Hero Academia. And I do too. I wanna reiterate that. I'm not hating on it. I don't hate My Hero. I'm not saying that Horikoshi is a bad writer or whatever, but the villains recently have not been compelling to me, I think. So we all know that Dabi has been connected to Endeavor for a while, right? So when that pop-off happened in the last chapter, I was like, whoa, okay, awesome. What a cool way to do it. It was very interesting. It's something that a lot of us fans have been waiting for a long time. So that actually isn't my issue. The actual issue that I have is with almost everybody else besides Shigaraki. So Shigaraki, we know about him. He is the root of all evil, I guess. He is like our big bad, and he is being puppeted by, of course, All For One. And that arc is good. I'm enjoying that so far. But pretty much every other villain besides those two and a little bit of Dabi has kind of been bad. So let me talk about my biggest issue recently, which has been with Toga. So I'm probably gonna talk about this later, but my biggest thing with villains, or even any characters, is this little Venn diagram I made. It's 3 circles, and one is likability, one is logic, and one is sympathy. And if you can get a villain right in the middle of those 3 Venn diagrams, then you have an awesome villain. You have a villain that logically you understand where they're coming from. You have a villain that you can empathize and sympathize with. And you also have a villain that is just likable, either for their character, for their design, whatever, whichever floats your boat, I guess, right? So likability is very subjective, obviously, because people seem to like Toga because it is a very popular yandere, schoolgirl archetype. She also is like naked sometimes. That's between you and God, bro. That's not up to me. That's a whole different thing. It's way more subjective. I'm not a huge fan of that archetype. A little too horny for me. The other 2 ones are kind of what I want to talk about. So with the sympathy or empathy route, right? We found out in the last chapter of My Hero that Toga is chasing down Uraraka and trying to, for lack of a better word, explain to her what's kind of going on, have her kind of explain to the best of her ability her motivations for what's happening, and seeing if Uraraka can stop her, or trying to fight for Deku's love, but she loves Uraraka too, and it's this whole big thing. Thankfully, Horikoshi writes Uraraka as this like somewhat logical person, so she's like, you killed people. Okay, like what? This doesn't make any sense. The big thing with me and Toga is that it's not like a Harley Quinn situation. Harley is at least motivated and manipulated by somebody else, right? Toga has a logic, Toga has motivations for what she's doing. It's just they're not good. I totally get that Toga had a hard life, and her power definitely made it not easy to live in the current society that heroes kind of exist in. I get that. It makes it really hard for me to empathize and sympathize with this character when I know that her logical reasoning is that, well, I have blood powers, so I'm going to be a serial killer. I can't sympathize with that. You know, sort of justification for what's going on. And I totally, before people start typing in the comments like Kermit the Frog, like, oh, Ian, don't you get it? The hero society is bad and only accepts certain types of people. I know, I get that, but like, I don't know, we have a dude who's a fridge. Couldn't we figure a workaround for Blood Girl, right? Couldn't we figure out something? That's where my empathy for Toga kind of goes out the window. You know, the empathy and the logic circles kind of commingle in an interesting way, because if I can't empathize with this character, if I can't sympathize with what's going on with them, then more often than not, logically, there is a big leap that is being missed for me. A lot of people like Dabi, because he's cool, he's likable, he's interesting looking. His logic of, well, my dad is at the top of hero society, he left me for dead. You know, I'm gonna kill him. You know, even though it's somewhat emotional, right? That emotion connects to the empathy of the character, and logically, I'm like, yeah, I would do that too. If I was in those shoes, I would do the same thing, right? For some reason, I just can't put myself in those shoes with Toga, and a lot of her motivations and a lot of her actions just don't make sense to me. And it's hard to like her, honestly. A lot of the villains, I feel like, are very likable, at least to a certain extent, and Toga just doesn't hit for me at all, and the focus that she's had over the past couple chapters has kind of just left me just wanting less of her. I was hoping that there was going to be this big confrontation with Uraraka and her, and she was going to be honest and be like, listen, Like I don't know, maybe Uraraka stops her, maybe she's like only fighting at half strength or something. And you know, maybe she just tells Uraraka like, just stop me. I don't want to do this anymore. This is too much. I was hoping for some sort of character growth and development. But it seems like her just entire character arc is like, I'm crazy. Which is fine. You can be crazy. You know? And this seems to be a problem with a lot of anime and manga writers, is that a lot of the times they have these very deep, emotional, intense arcs for their male characters. And then, you know, the female characters are there too. They're kind of hanging out. And unfortunately, for me at least, it just doesn't work. It like, I don't know, it just kind of barely hits it all for me. Like, I kind of just want her to get off screen. And I just feel like in general, there's like a big weakness for Horikoshi. I think Horikoshi doesn't really write his villains, or I guess not villains, like anti-heroes that well. Like Stain was awesome. That was like early on. But then like characters that are kind of this weird in between have always kind of been like a struggle for me to enjoy. Like everyone loves Bakugo. He is this weird anti-hero that makes it very hard for me to like him. He is very low on the likability, right? Same thing with Toga, who is like, just can't connect with this character at all. So here's the big thing. When it comes to a lot of the villains in My Hero Academia, Twice is like far and away one of my favorite villains in a long time. Same thing with Yakuza Man. What was his name? I forget. Yakuza Man. I'm not gonna call him Yakuza Man, I can't. Twice is a perfect example of a villain that fills in all those circles of that Venn diagram we were talking about earlier. He's very likable, he's a goofy little guy, he's cool. He's got a cool power, he has the zipper ability, he can copy himself, and he's a little bit dumb. You know, dumbness makes you likable sometimes, right? It is definitely a character that has an empathetic sort of core for their character. He has a mental illness, right? And that mental illness is something that a lot of us can relate to. The fact that he kind of goes off the handle and kind of is unreliable is something that makes the character more human, and I feel like definitely draws me personally, that character, even if he is a villain. Separate from his moral compass, just the fact that he has this thing that he's struggling with a little bit deeper below the surface, I think that really helps me connect with that character. The logic is like, well, everyone in Hero Society kind of abandoned him, and he has been kind of abused and used over the years by different sort of sides of this conflict. So yeah, of course it's gonna be an issue for him. So it was very easy for me to connect with Twice as a character. Yeah, and unfortunately Toga and a lot of the other villains that are going on right now just don't have that, you know, that core, and that's why it's not really hitting for me that much. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Has the current arc of My Hero Academia been working for you? Do you like the villains? Do you like Toga? And you're not allowed to comment if you like Toga because you're horny. Not allowed. Give me other reasons why you like Toga. Maybe I'm completely missing the boat here. Please help me out and let me know in the comments down below. Follow us over on Twitter. That is A+Anime, APLUSANIME on Twitter. Also links down below. And we are also currently selling shirts. Here's a picture of the shirt right here. It's One Piece themed. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate y'all. And I'll see you next time. Bye.
You are now watching A+Anime.